What's up, y'all? Sorry the quality is not top tier. But anyway, I'm Chase Tootin, back with, I want to say, I believe, episode 5 of Rango Dango Reads. Nice Deadpool tank here. What's up? So, it's been quite a while since we've done an episode. I just finally finished Dead Astronauts, and interesting to say the least, for multiple reasons. Excuse me, coffee burp. So let's just jump right into it. So, Dead Astronauts is a book by Jeff VanderMeer, and I 100% bought the book based on its cover. It's very colorful. I really enjoyed it. It drew me in, and the name, of course, at Barnes and Noble. Great place. Ooh, wrong side. Great place. Uh, So yeah, so then I started reading it, and it was very dreamlike. The language, it seemed to have a lot of um, metaphors and symbolism, and definitely a lot of imagery and kind of world building in its own way. Uh, but the book itself is kind of about everything and nothing at the same time. So my big thing on this page on this platform is perception is reality. This is one of those books that is like, whoa, okay, what am I seeing here? What is this telling me? How am I interpreting these words? This book is incredibly high in perception is reality. Okay, it's what you see in this book is really what you're going to get out of it. It has um, like I've seen a bunch of different reviews and they're talking about external connections. When I read it initially, if you followed my progressional reviews, it's more I've saw more spiritual, more inner workings, more in the mind. So you have the three characters, Grayson, Chin, and Moss, whereas Moss always finds herself in these different realities, these different let's say in the multiverse, okay, these parallel universes, timelines, I guess, she continues to find herself. And so every time she does, she basically combines with herself and becomes more powerful. All right, so basically, I took that as, oh, she's learning from her past mistakes and growing, uh, growing as a person, growing mentally, growing stronger, growing in every aspect because of her past. Then you have Chin, who every time he sees himself, he fights himself, physically fights himself. And sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses, but he sees himself. And I took that as, maybe he doesn't like what he sees initially, so he has to fight it down. And sometimes his inner thoughts, his demons, beat him, and sometimes he's able to overcome his demons. And then you have Grayson, who has yet to come across herself in these other timelines. And I'm taking that as, oh, well, maybe she's, too scared to face her fears to face herself, to be inside her own mind, essentially. And that's the way I took the book, is that it's not a multiverse, but it's a multi-layered mind. So everything is inside the mind in the book. And to me, there's this character named Charlie X, and they continue to reference Charlie X. And at one point, it comes out that he has this journal, and this journal talks about his discoveries, his experiments, all these different aspects. And I'm starting to think that this book was all taking place inside the mind of Charlie X in his journal, right? So then you have this blue fox, and later in the book, it comes out to say, okay, he created this blue fox, right? From killing it, reviving, killing it, fixing it, killing it, fixing it over and over and over again. Pages, once you read it, you'll see. Okay, I do suggest reading it. It's a very interesting read. Definitely not for everybody. I don't even think it was for me, but not unentertaining, not uninteresting. Okay, very thought-provoking. So, but this blue fox kind of speaks in a way of guiding and leading, and to me, it came off as this Blue Fox is like a Jesus character. Not necessarily Jesus, okay, don't say I'm sacrilegious, this and that, blah blah blah, but comes off as somewhat of a Jesus type figure. Okay. And he's trying to teach these people, is trying to get them to look inside, get them to understand that they have the power, that they're able to do these different things and progress and grow, self-reflect. That's one thing that I really think that is a big theme in the book, self-reflection. Um, it it talks about dying a lot. So I mean, reincarnation, spiritual awakening, spiritual growth. So up through about the first 50% of the book, roughly half the book, a little over half the book, it seemed like this is the route it was taking. I perceived it. I perceived this book as like a spiritual guide, as a um, I wouldn't say necessarily spiritual guide, but more of like uh, like a this is what's going on type of thing. Kind of like a telling you what's happening without telling you what's happening kind of thing. But it really did touch on basically everything. Okay. It seemed there's a lot going on. Um, but what made it so confusing, and sorry, my mind is kind of just I speak as it comes to me. I don't plan things. If you've seen any of my other reviews, you'll know that. I'm just speaking as the memories of the book come to me. And I just finished it today. So, I mean, they're there. I'm just piecing things together as they flow into my mind. Flow, flow, flow. Um, yes, so there are many passages that are absolute nonsense in this book. Absolute nonsense. And I mean pages upon pages at a time. And then all of a sudden, and it's not like it's poorly written. It's very well written, but there's no cohesion in what's going on. There's definitely not like a legitimate, easy to find plot. There might be a plot, but it's definitely not easy to find. And but there's pages upon pages in a row of just nonsense, repetitive nonsense, looping nonsense. Okay. And then all of a sudden you'll hit a few pages and everything will read so smoothly and you're like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. And then after a couple pages, it's just back to repetitive nonsense. It's well written. It's a very smartly written book. It's not poor writing. It's written to be confusing on purpose. And there have been many times in this book where I'm like, oh, it's the book is written to be a hard read for the sake of being a hard read. Yes, I thought that many times. Maybe not the case. I think VanderMeer just pulled a fast one over on us. Okay? Because by page 203, he tells us that no one should find meaning in the journal. And based on the book, the journal is essentially the book. So the way I'm perceiving it is that he's telling us that the book is about nothing. Interesting. The author tells us the book is about nothing. So basically, VanderMeer, D, kudos to you, pulling a fast one on all of us, writing a book about nothing that is at times, incoherent text, at times, beautifully coherent text about a duck with a broken wing and a blue fox and a salamander man and a bear man, and then many salamanders coming together, and then holding ponds and a huge fish and a city and a company and a lab and death. And it really this book has a crap ton of things. This man's mind is fabulous. I would love to sit down and have an actual conversation, uh, you know, over some water. I don't drink, maybe a Diet Pepsi with some lemon, woo, 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 with this man. Um, yeah, I would love to have a conversation with this man and just to see how his mind works beyond the scope of anything literary, just a casual convo with Mr. V. That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. He seems like a chill dude. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. Never met the guy, never spoke to him. I can only go by this book, but obviously his mind works in a fantastical way. So basically at the point of, three-quarters of the book, I'm like, man, this book is about nothing. And then the last quarter of the book kind of solidifies that the book is basically about nothing. I mean, like 20 page, like two chapters, you can just flip through because it says the same thing over and over again in slightly different ways. Should I have flipped through it? Probably not. Maybe it had something in there that I should have read. Maybe he was, placing codes into certain writing. Maybe I shouldn't have skipped over it, but I did. Um, that's just me as a reader. This book is not for everybody. Like I said, it might not have even been for me. It was interesting. Um, but it definitely has its audience. I know it's highly regarded by many people. I will not read it again, but that's just me. That's just me. It was a very difficult read for many reasons. I enjoyed it. It's really hard to not want to find meaning in something, and honestly, I kind of hope he did write it without any meaning and wrote the book about nothing and wrote it in a way that made it sound like it was about a lot more than nothing. But yes, that is my perception. The book is about everything and nothing at the same time. Kudos to Mr. VanderMeer for really, really pulling a fast one over on all of us. Um, Big Time Ups, Big Time Rush, good band. Duh, 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 duh. Yeah, so, kudos to you. There will be a link, multiple links in the description to this to buy it on Amazon. I will drop a link for an affiliate link to buy it, which I will get a share of. I will also drop a link that is not an affiliate link that I will not get a share of in case you just want to buy it, buy it that way. I don't really care. I'm gonna post both links regardless. Ebook, physical book will be posted in the description. Okay. If you want to check out my progressionals and you have not, they are on my TikTok page, my Instagram, and my YouTube shorts at Rango Dango Reads, all the same. Uh, I don't think there's a space between Rango Dango and Reads. Maybe there is. I'm not real sure. Not a huge tech savvy guy. Just like reading and talking about books. And my chameleon in the background is pretty freaking sweet. Uh, so yeah, that's about it. This has been episode 5. Rango Dango Reads Dead Astronauts. Enjoyed it. Recommend it to some people. Some people will love it. It's worth giving it a gander because, honestly, why not? You may absolutely love it and have never thought anything about it. But anyway, yeah, Dead Astronauts, Jeff VanderMeer. Kudos to you. Go check it out. I'm Chase Tootin, Rango Dango Reads. Ta-ta, kittens.